Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense. That's right, America. I'm Josh.
And I'm Kevin.
And this is the lost art of common sense. In today's episode, we're doing two firsts. One, a reaction video of the 1983 warning that fell on deaf ears by Yuri Bezmenov. And we also have our first guest, that being Arron. Arron, say hello to all 10 listeners.
Hey, everybody.
Arron is a loyal listener, so it's good to have him on. And he's going to watch this video and react to it with us. So enough said. Let's get to the video. Maybe. Oh, wait. There we go.
Yeah,
subversion is the term, if you look in a dictionary or criminal code to that matter, usually is explained as a part of activity to destroy things like religion, government system, political, economical system of a country. And usually it's linked to espionage and such romantic things as blowing up bridges, sidetracking trains, cloak and dagger activity in Hollywood style. When what I'm going to talk about now has absolutely nothing to do with the cliche of espionage or KGB activity of collecting information. So the greatest mistake or misconception, I think, is that whenever we are talking about KGB, for some strange reason, starting from Hollywood movie makers to professors of political science and quote-unquote experts on Soviet affairs, or Kremlinologists as they call themselves, they think that the most desirable thing for Andropov and the whole KGB is to steal blueprints of some supersonic jet, bring it back to Soviet Union and sell it to the Soviet military-industrial complex. It's only partly true. If we take the whole time, money, and manpower that the Soviet Union and KGB in particular spends outside of USSR border, we will discover, of course there are no official statistics unlike with CIA or FBI, that the espionage as such occupies only 10 to 15% of money, time, and manpower. 15% of the activity of KGB. The rest, 85%, is always subversion.
And did you catch at the beginning that when they say subversion in Russia, that means they're basically talking about destroy.
Yeah, it's destroy from within, isn't it?
Yeah, like the term subversion refers to destroying something.
Now, I thought, like he said, I thought espionage is more like what the KGB did is steal shit. So, I thought,
like the movie,
like exactly what he said.
Dagger.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, Arron?
Yeah, that was the same way. I figured it was just, stealing stuff covertly, getting information and intel. But that's all from watching movies, so.
Has either one of you guys heard of the term subversion before this?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the word. I guess
I don't know. I don't know if I have or not. Either that or it was under a different context.
I think it's probably under a different context. I don't think under like subversive. I know I've heard it in movies to where people are like being controlled, and I know I've heard it in that sense.
All right, well, I just want to point that out, and let's get back in to see what he has to say with that blackboard circle.
And unlike a dictionary of English, Oxford Dictionary, subversion in Soviet terminology means always a destructive, aggressive activity aimed to destroy.
Looks like I should have just waited a couple seconds.
Yes, seconds, literally seconds.
He probably said it better than I did. All right, let's get back at it.
The country, nation, or geographical area of your enemy. So there's no romantics in there, absolutely. No blowing up bridges, no microfilms in Coca-Cola cans, nothing of that sort. No James Bond nonsense. It's most of this activity is overt, legitimate, and easily observable if you give yourself time and trouble to observe it. But according to the law and law enforcement systems of the Western civilization, it's not a crime. Exactly because of misconception, manipulation of terms. We think that subverter is a person who is going to blow up our beautiful bridges. No, subverter is a student who comes for exchange, a diplomat, an actor, an artist, a journalist like myself was 10 years ago. Now, subversion is an activity which is a two-way traffic. You cannot subvert an enemy which doesn't want to be subverted. If you know history of Japan, for example, before 20th century, Japan was a closed society. The moment a foreign boat comes to the shores of Japan, the Imperial Japanese Army politely tell them to get lost. And if American salesman comes to the shore of Japan, let's say 60 or 70 years from now back, and says, oh, I have a very beautiful vacuum cleaner for you, with the good financing, he says, please leave us. We don't need your vacuum cleaner. If they don't leave, they shoot them to preserve their culture, ideology, traditions, values intact. You were not able to subvert Japan. You cannot subvert Soviet Union because the borders are closed. The media is censored by the government. The population is controlled by the KGB and internal police.
So,
I wanted to hit on this real quick.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin. You go first.
Well, he says it's harder for people to do subversion. Was it the USSR then? Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
because the borders were closed. We are having a massive border crisis. So it feels like, and we have for a while now, pretty much since 2000. So I can see how people could get in and actually start doing this here if they wanted.
Yeah, well, I was wondering too, because when he says you can only be subverted if you wanted to be, I think that's more if you allow yourself to be, because I don't think anybody wants to be subverted.
I think
oh, that sounds fun.
Weak-minded people who are easily manipulated.
They stopped this, Russia, Japan, China, closed society stopped that anyway. It's not just subversion. It's they stop anything from tampering with their culture, period, whether it be through lies or whatever. But it's not like they're getting straight up 100% fact-filled news in USSR and China. So
yeah.
I don't know. I kind of took issue with that. It's not like anybody wants to be subverted. I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I think it's more you're allowing it to happen. Something new comes in and you're okay with it, and it can wreak havoc that way. But I don't think anybody wants something to change everything all at once.
No, I think they'll come in and be they cloak stuff. It's kind of like how, the whole nation's been kind of moving left, and they do it an inch at a time. Oh, this isn't so bad. This isn't so bad. This isn't so bad. That's probably kind of how this happens. But yeah, I didn't agree with the whole, you have to want it. What the leaders do? Possibly. There could be some money, there, but I don't know.
Can you be subverted by sleeping with a Chinese spy?
I think you're referring to Eric Swalwell, and I don't know.
Is that a form of subversion?
Well, some sort of weird perversion. That dude's
perversion
weird.
For sure.
The dude's weird looking, and he farts in public in front of a camera. So
Yeah.
Biden pooped himself, and so It's a
That's why he
Democrat
wears-
thing, I guess.
That's why I hear he wears galoshes now to catch it, so there's no trail.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah. All right, back into it.
All the beautiful glossy pictures of Time magazine and Magazine America, which is published by the American Embassy in Moscow, you cannot subvert Soviet citizens because the magazine never reaches Soviet citizens. It's collected from the newsstands and thrown to garbage can. Subversion can be only successful when the initiator, the actor, the agent of subversion has a responsive target. It's a two-way traffic. United States is a receptive target of subversion. There is no response similar to that one from United States to the Soviet Union. It stops halfway somewhere. It never reaches here. The theory of subversion goes all the way back 2,500 years ago. The first human being who formulated the tactics of subversion was a Chinese philosopher by the name of Sun Tzu. 3,500 years BC. He was an advisor for several imperial courts in ancient China.
Hey, was that the dude that did the Art of War?
Yeah,
I
that's
can't-
him.
Yeah, Sun Tzu.
Sun
like-
Tzu.
Okay.
So he mispronounced or he pronounces it differently.
Yes.
Got
He
a
was saying
different accent,
sunset. That's
Josh.
why when I first heard it, I wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't
Sun
figure
Tzu.
out. Like, I was waiting for him to spell it, but it's a little grainy because it was probably filmed on, I don't know, whatever rocks or whatever they used back then. So I couldn't quite read it.
That's Super 8, buddy. It's 83, buddy. That's VHS. They just dude didn't have auto tracking on.
Yeah, because it's getting a little hazy.
Well, for whatever reason, any of the outside ones are going to be blurry. The close-ups aren't bad.
Yeah, no.
And now, have you seen this yet?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
And
I didn't
neither of
watch
you,
it. So
Aaron?
I
No,
wanted
I'm not
to.
seeing
I
it.
want to do a reaction as I watched it. So I was debating on whether watching it or wait until this, so I could actually have an honest reaction without thinking. So that's how I'm
Well,
doing the
yeah,
best
that's
talking.
why I've
doing the
seen it,
blind
and I want to.
reaction.
And I have my own ideas about it. That's why it's cool that you came on, Aaron, because then we got two fresh eyes and ears on it to see what y'all think when he starts getting into stuff. All right,
Okay.
back at it.
And he said, after long meditation, that to implement state policy in a warlike manner, it's the most counterproductive, barbaric, and inefficient to fight on a battlefield. You know that war is continuation of state policy, right? So if you want successfully to implement your state policy, and you start fighting, this is the most idiotic way to do it. The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy, until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy, and that your system, your civilization, and your ambitions look to your enemy as an alternative, if not desirable, then at least feasible. Better red than dead. That's the ultimate purpose, the final stage of subversion, after which you can simply take your enemy without a single shot being fired, if the subversion is successful. This is basically what subversion is. As you see, not a single mentioning of blowing up bridges. Of course, Sun Tzu didn't know about blowing up bridges. Maybe there were not that many bridges at that time. But the basics of subversion is being taught to every student of KGB school in USSR and to officers of military academies. I'm not sure if the same author is included in the list of reading for American officers, to say nothing about ordinary students of political science. I had difficulty to find the translation of Sun Tzu in.
That would be interesting to know. We probably should ask some of our military friends if this
I don't know if
was,
the military, but you almost have to ask somebody in the CIA or FBI. Like,
well, yeah.
probably
'cause he was
CIA
talking
more than
KGB.
anything. I'm guessing
I
he's
don't-
talking in front of CIA, or is he just talking at a school? Do you
No,
have any
he's just
contacts
giving
with-
a lecture.
Oh, I didn't know where he's doing it at. I thought maybe he's talking to the CIA or FBI or.
I'm not even 100% sure he's in the U.S. because he defected to Canada.
Oh,
But I guess, yeah. And I know people that have been in the FBI. I don't think I know anybody's been in the CIA. So
you wouldn't.
I
How
wouldn't
good they
know.
are.
It could be Arron. Arron could be a CIA agent.
He's the
No,
guy.
not.
He's the guy constantly listening to our phone calls and shit.
That's why he's watching the show. I'm taking you fuckers down.
That or he's IRS. one of the two.
Infiltrating. No,
Could
but
be a new IRS agent.
you got to think this
As
was
soon as that one guy in the Philippines listened to your show, you became in my realm, motherfucker.
That's right.
say
Gone
that thing was
international.
1983. I'm sure they listen or read The Art of War now. I mean, you can find copies of it. just about
Yeah, a
any
lot of people-
bookstore.
A lot of people in business, even business people, do
Yeah.
art war and shit.
Yeah, they've got copies that are Art of War for Business, where it's like 13 concepts that he throws out, 13 chapters.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
Well, and
interesting.
it's just weird.
I've never read
because-
it.
Well,
Maybe I
but
should.
like, have you ever heard of this guy?
This guy?
Yeah.
No.
Like, granted, I had to do a little searching, but I'm not gonna lie. I heard that a short form interview where he was actually like, it wasn't this lecture, but like I heard about this video on a Glenn Beck podcast, so I looked it up. But like, you think this stuff would be taught too, because it's basically the way it sounds is he's explaining one of those tenets of the art of war, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that'd be interesting to see if we're actually doing that as well.
I'm sure we are.
Hopefully so. Hopefully we're well read on the art of war. I know the guy from, got to get that movie reference in here, Battleship.
That
He
was a
references
bad
the art
movie.
of war. I like that movie.
Aaron, leave us? Or just...
I've never watched that movie. You
You
talking
know
about
the movie
one
I'm talking
that's
about, right?
Battleship?
Yeah, it's a horrible... Yeah, it's a bad movie.
It's not.
It was like
It is.
made
It's so
after the
fucking
game,
stupid.
the board game.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I've never seen it.
It's fucking stupid.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It was bad.
You know what? I'm done talking to you. We're going back to the video. You guys are
This is a better
jerks.
movie than that.
in the library of a university in Toronto and later on here in Los Angeles. But it's a book which is not available. It is forced to every student in USSR. Every student who is taught to be dealing further in his future career with foreigners. What subversion is? Basically, it consists of 4 periods, time-wise. If we start from here and go this way, time, right? This is the beginning point. The first stage of subversion is the process which is called, basically, demoralization.
So in these phases, I want you guys to pay attention to them. And if you want to chime in anytime, if you can think of a reference of what might be or may not be happening. And then when he gets through it, I'm going to want to get your guys' take on what phase you think we're in now.
Cool.
Just nod your head, Aaron. That's great.
Says for itself what it is. It takes from, say, 15 to 20 years to demoralize a society. Why 15 or 20 years? This is the time sufficient to educate one generation of students or children, one generation, one lifetime span of a person, a human being, which is dedicated to study, to shaping up the outlook, ideology, personality. No more, no less. Usually it takes from 15 to 20 years. What it includes? It includes influencing, or by various methods, infiltration, propaganda methods, direct contacts, doesn't really matter. I will describe them later. Of various areas where public opinion is formulated or shaped: religion, educational system, social life, administration, law enforcement system, military, of course, and labor and employer relations.
I just want you guys to know I have this on a much bigger screen, and you still can't. I can read.
You can't see it no matter what.
I can read Death Wish under results.
Yeah, it is Death Wish.
I'm also pausing this so if somebody is watching the video and they want to try to read it, here's your chance. I can see family, society, health, race.
I can't see what's on the left though. I think I see education. I see media.
The left says religion.
Religion, media.
Yeah, I don't know what the one above that found.
Religion, education, media.
Media.
I can't see what number 4 is though.
No, the other one looks weird. False heroes and role models.
Is that it's culture?
Culture.
Oh.
Law and order, social.
Can I see? I don't know if they've hit. Well, I think they've
social relations, security. But yeah, I mean, that's why we're leaving it up here for a while. Or you could just pause it on your own. But yeah, some of these pop-ups, they're not very good. Like I said, 1983. So,
do we want to talk about? Let's just keep going. Then we'll.
No, you want to talk about? Or do you want to wait till he's done with the first section?
Yeah, let's go jump to the first section. We'll go through this.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
Economy. Okay? 5 areas. I will not write them down because we'll not have enough space. Sometimes when I describe all the methods, students ask me question, are you sure this is the result of the Soviet influence? Not necessarily. You see, the tactic of subversion, about which I'm talking, is similar to the martial art, the Japanese martial art. If some of you are familiar with that tactic, probably you will remember that if an enemy is bigger and heavier than yourself, it would be very painful to resist his direct strike. If a heavier person wants to strike me in the face, it would be very naive and counterproductive to stop his blow. The Chinese and Japanese judo art tells us what to do. First, to avoid the strike, then to grab the fist and continue his movement in the direction where it was before, right? Until the enemy crashes in the wall. You see? So, what happens here? The target country obviously does something wrong. If it's a free democratic society, there are many different movements within the society. There obviously, in every society, there are people who are against this society. They may be simple criminals, ideologically in disagreement with the state policy, conscientious enemies, simply psychotic personalities who are against anything, right? And finally, there are a small group of agents of a foreign nation, bought, subverted, recruited, right? The moment all these movements will be directed in one direction, right? This is the time to catch that movement and to continue it until the movement forces the whole society into collapse, into crisis, right? So that's exactly the martial art tactic. We don't stop an enemy. We let him go. We help him to go in the direction we want them to go. Okay? So, on the stage of demoralization, obviously there are tendencies in each society, in each country, which are going to opposite direction from the basic moral values and principles. To take advantage of these movements, to capitalize on them, is the main purpose of the originator of subversion. So we have religion, we have education, we have social life, we have power structure, we have labor relations, unions, and finally we have law and order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? These are the areas of application of subversion. What it means exactly? In case of religion, destroy it, ridicule it, replace it with various sects, cults, which bring people's attention, faith, whether it is naive, primitive, doesn't really matter. As long as the basically accepted religious dogma is being slowly eroded and taken.
You made a look, Kevin. I didn't know if you wanted to say something.
Well, it's just weird. I mean, like, it's happening right now. Religion is looked down upon. Your sexual behavior is the most important thing about who you are anymore. If you're gay or fucking want your dick chopped off. I mean, it's just, it's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, that sprung to mind like the crazy shows for like these was it award shows with like Cardi B and the performances she's done on that.
Oh yeah.
Where they're all
Or
like
just
humping on a giant bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. I think you guys are going to be, and just so we know, if you want to say something, I did not tell you, Aaron, this because we're not very professional, don't really know what the hell we're doing. Just like put your hand up and I'll pause the video. Now you know, Aaron.
Okay. One of the other things I noticed when he's talking about redirecting as the punch, that sounded a lot like from the Art of War. There's one part that's don't correct your enemy when they're making a mistake. And that seemed a lot like that.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, why would anybody who's against us be, why would they say, hey, don't over-sexualize things. Don't, drop your religion, stuff like that. Why would they say that to us? It's like, yeah, go ahead, America.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What's wrong with you?
My headphone cord got stuck behind my chair. So
Aren't you wearing earless ones?
Yeah, no, they're not wireless.
Oh, I thought they were wireless. Oh, I thought they're wireless.
No,
I thought that was a rat tail. My bad.
I used to have a rat tail back in the 80s. It was glorious.
I can imagine. You see, you're probably a little trashy back then.
I can
Kevin,
see that.
I'm not going to say I wasn't, but
that's why you're bald, because you mocked God with your hair by putting a rat tail in.
You know what? The audience didn't know I was bald until you just told them. That's why I'm always wearing a hat.
We're all wearing hats.
Aaron's not, because he has a full head of hair because he's an asshole.
Well, he also doesn't have an awesome hat.
I'm an asshole because I have all my hair still.
I also have all my hair. I just do this so Josh doesn't feel self-conscious about himself.
Well, if I didn't know that was a requirement, Aaron, I would have worn a hat.
Just know, Aaron, that all my insults are 100% based on envy.
I know.
Okay, first sidetrack conversation. But yeah, I got my cord. Actually, I got some hats in here. You want a hat, Aaron?
Sure.
I'll bring it
after
to you.
The show.
Yeah, which one do you want? Do you want this one? Or
I can't see on this tiny screen.
So you can by hitting the right corner of the screen, you can see.
Or just a regular all gray one.
Let's go all gray.
Then you'll get the all gray one. That's what you get for being a guest on this show. Free swag.
Sweet.
Until we run out. We only have
Until we run out. I literally only have 2 hats sitting over here, but I got you're also getting a koozie. You're walking away with a koozie, Aaron.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Get on the show, get a free koozie.
All right. Back at it.
All right.
Away from the supreme purpose of religion, to keep people in touch with the supreme being. That serves the purpose. Therefore, replace accepted, respected religious organizations with fake organizations. Distract people's attention from the real faith and attract them to various different faiths. Education. Distract them from learning something which is constructive, pragmatic, efficient. Instead of mathematics.
Did the video stop?
I just stopped it.
No, now it did.
I was gonna say I still got the picture of him just standing there with the arm up in the air.
Oh. It might just be the video on the...
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Sorry.
Physics, foreign languages, chemistry. Teach them history of urban warfare, natural food, home economy, your sexuality, anything, as long as it takes you away. Okay? Social life. Replace traditionally established institutions and organizations with fake organizations. Take away the initiative from people. Take away the responsibility from naturally established links between individuals, group of individuals, and society at large, and replace them with artificially, bureaucratically controlled bodies. Instead of social life and friendship between neighbors, establish social workers institutions. They're people who are on payroll of whom? Society? No, bureaucracy. The main concern of social workers is not your family, not you, not social relations between groups of people. The main concern is to get the paycheck from the government. What will be the result of their social work doesn't really matter. They can develop all kind of concepts to show to the government and to the people that they're useful. Okay, away from the natural links, power structure. Okay, the natural bodies of administration, which are traditionally either elected by people at large or appointed by elected leaders of society, are being actively substituted by artificial bodies. The bodies of people, groups of people whom nobody elected, never. As a matter of fact, most of the people don't like them at all, and yet they exist. One of such group is media. Who elected them? How come they have so much power, almost monopolistic power on your mind? They can rape your mind. But who elected them? How come they have a nerve to decide what is good and what is bad for the elected by you, president, and his administration? Who the hell are they? Spiro Agnew, who was hated by the liberal left, called them a bunch of enfeebled snobs. And that's exactly what they are. They think they know. They don't. The level of mediocrity in a big establishment like New York Times, Los Angeles Times, major television network, you don't have to be excellent journalist. You have to be exactly a mediocre journalist. That's easier to survive. There's no competition anymore. You have your good, nice income, $100,000 a year. That's it. Whether you are better or worse doesn't really matter anymore. As soon as you are smiling to the camera and do your job. That's it. No more competition. Power structure slowly is eroded by the bodies and groups of people who do not have neither qualification nor the will of people to keep them in power, and yet they do have power. Okay. Together with that, there is another process. Law enforcement, law and order organization and structure is being eroded. For the last 20, 25 years, if you see old movies and new movies, you can see that in new movies, a policeman, an officer of the United States Army looks dumb, angry, psychotic, paranoid. A criminal looks nice, kind of, well, he smokes hash and shoots the whatever drug, but basically he's a nice human being. He's creative. And he's unproductive only because society oppresses him. Whereby a general of Pentagon is always, by definition, a dumb, a war maniac. A policeman is a pig, rude policeman. He abuses his power. You know? A generality, generalization like that. The hatred, the mistrust to the people who are supposed to protect you and enforce law and order. Moral relativity. The Angelo Buono process lasted 2 years in Los Angeles. And yet there are still some lawyers who say, look, he's a nice character, as a matter of fact. There was some witness who said, also a criminal, who said, well, he's a nice guy. I asked him one day to burn a house of my enemy, and he wouldn't do it. He's a nice fellow. Erosion. A slow substitution of basic moral principles, whereby a criminal is not a criminal, actually. He's a defendant. Even if his guilt is proven, there is still a doubt to kill or not to kill, to be or not to be. Thou shalt not kill, yes. But this line may not necessarily be applicable to a murderer. Thou shalt not murder. That should be the presumption, not that thou shalt not kill. Okay, labor relations. At this stage, within 15 to 20 years, we destroy the traditionally established links of bargaining between employer and employee. The classical Marxist-Leninist theory of natural exchange of goods. A person A has 5 sacks of grain and person B has 5 pairs of shoes. And the natural exchange without money is when they bargain between each other. And only with the introduction of the third force, C, an entirely third foreign stranger who says, no, don't give him 5 sacks of grain, give it to me. And you give me your 5 pairs of shoes and I will distribute it accordingly. So that the economy will go. This is the death of natural exchange, death of natural bargaining. Well, trade unions were established 100 years ago. The objective was to improve working conditions and to protect the rights of workers from those employers who were abusing their right because they had more money. Objectively, at that time, initially, the trade union movement did work. What we see now is that the bargaining process is no longer resulting in the compromise, which is leading objectively to betterment of working conditions and increase of salary. What we see is that after each prolonged strike, the workers lose. Even if they have 10% increase of their salaries, they cannot catch up due to inflation and due to missed time. More than that, millions of people suffer from that strike because economy now is interdependent. It's intertwined like one body. If previously steel workers, say 100 years ago, could strike and nobody would suffer, now it's impossible anymore. If a garbage collector strikes today, the rest of the multi-million city is stinking. I mean, there's no more service. In Quebec, for example, we had the electricians who were on strike in the middle of winter. You can freeze your bottom, and they still were on strike. Did they catch up with the salary? No, they lost. Who benefited? The leaders of trade unions. What is the motivation for strike? Improving of workers' condition? No, obviously it's not. Then what is it? Ideology. To prove to these capitalists. And the obedient horde of workers, like sheep, follow these people. And they cannot disobey. Why? Because if they do, you know what happens to them. pickets, murders, shooting truck drivers by picketers. In Montreal, for example, I saw with my own eyes when I was correspondent of CBC International, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, when the workers of aircraft factory destroyed computers and the equipment in the factory. And the administration employed strike breakers. Their cars were turned upside down and burned. Their houses were burned. Their kids were intimidated, and some victims were there. Of that we can be sure. Why? To improve conditions of workers?
Montreal is gangster as fuck. I mean, they're burning cars and shit. Like, what the fuck? Houses? I mean, I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy as hell. I just wanted to chime in and be like, God damn. You know? Like, you don't hear a strike anymore where somebody, like, flips a car over, burns it, and goes to the guy's house and burns that down and, you know, beats up his kid and shit.
They used to be that way, though. Strikes used to get violent, not so much anymore.
Yeah, I think we've moved past that, but I don't know.
Well, remember, this is also back in 1980.
I know. It's just, I was like, God damn, that's crazy as hell.
The violentest decade in Canadian history.
It's like, damn, it's crazy.
Was it in Japan where the bus drivers had a strike, but they didn't stop driving the buses? They just stopped collecting fares. Everybody still made it to their destination on time as normal. They just didn't pay.
Yeah. I'm not
best
sure
way to do it.
But that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That way you're
bus.
directly costing them money.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Well, Kevin thinks Montreal is gangster as fuck.
No. Ideology. Okay, so this is what happens basically. It may or may not happen without the help of the Soviet Union, but the natural tendencies are being greatly taken advantage of and capitalized by the Soviet propaganda systems. How? Whenever trade union strikes, we have influx of propaganda, mass media, ideological dissemination. The workers' right, and we repeat it like parrots. Yes, workers' right. Whose rights? Workers? No. The only freedom of worker to sell his labor according to his own desire and will is taken away from him. By whom? By trade union boss. Unlimited power is given. Responsibility. I want to sell my labor not for $2.50 an hour, but for $2. I don't have right. My freedom is denied to me. I know that if I sell my work for $2 an hour, not for $3 an hour, I will compete better with the other guy who is lazy and more greedy. I don't need $3. I need only $2. No, I was made to believe by media, by business, by advertising agencies that I need more and more and more. Have you ever heard any advertising on TV to consume less? No. No way. Whether you need a six-cylinder car or not, you have to buy it. And hurry up.
That's another call out to the times, whether you need a six-cylinder vehicle or not, because like in the 80s, they just came out of the fuel gas crisis of the 70s. So like you own a V6, man, you were tearing shit up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin owned a V6 once.
I did. It's a straight six.
What was the Zephyr?
It was a straight six.
Yeah, that thing was badass. I don't know how the hell we did it. We used to burn the tires and smoke. We used to smoke the tires out on gravel roads in that piece of shit.
Oh yeah, it was badass. That Mercury Zephyr was legendary.
And I remember if you did not tap the ignition when you took the keys out, I used to go, okay, Aaron, here's a little story of high school. If Kevin forgot to tap his ignition, you could just go turn it and it would start, and I would steal his car and move it like 5 blocks away.
Like I had turn the car off, pull the key, then tap it again, and make sure it locked because it would never lock.
So I would go out because he never locked his door. So I would go out every day after, because I think that was the year that I was out for wrestling and you wrestled. So I would go out and oh, boom, and I'd move it down to Dell's Pub or whatever.
It's super annoying because it's cold out and shit too.
Yeah, Yeah, wrestling in the winter, I always come out his car's gone.
Yeah, Josh is an asshole.
That's also the car that you were driving in when we were on our way to work. And you're like, hey, it's middle of July in Iowa. There's a can of Mountain Dew that's been sitting in my windshield all day. I'm going to go ahead and crack that bastard open. And it exploded. I'm falling behind him, and this jackass is throwing all over the road. He's like, it was so hot.
It was hot. It burned me. Oh, I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
The old Mercury Zephyr.
I told you I was stupid as hell as a kid, man.
We were stupid. That was the car when I had my old Buick, and I would get up on your bumper and try to push you in oncoming traffic. Just horrible people.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the warning about other horrible people.
Yes.
And that wraps up part 1 of the 1983 warning that fell on deaf ears. For Kevin and myself, thanks for watching. Special thanks to our guest, Arron, and we'll see you next week. Common sense.